Go watch a special called The Levees Broke that Spike Lee did. Go watch a bunch of shit to understand this is not just some, yo, Katrina happened. Nigga said, nah, nigga, my city is gone, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So your request was not uncalled for, even though you got an advance. It was a catastrophic situation that happened. And
Cam, big brother, that's how I felt about it. I was like, say, bro, you just gave me an advance, but this situation, I just not to soften it up, but I don't think he understood the detrimental situation of Katrina at the moment. You dig? Because when I told him to help me, he basically told me to get on the road. He was like, you better get on the road. Like, get on the road? I ain't got no home to go to.
Yeah. Where am I going?
I was outside the wall, so I'm telling you, it's not easy to be where I'm at now. But
you got past the moat with the alligators.
Yes, man, and that's not easy. I've been through it all in this game, from being blackballed, talked about, said I couldn't rap, said I couldn't do this and shit like that. And I never let nothing discourage me, because I know what I wanted to do and where I needed to go. Plus, I knew that there was nowhere else in this world that I could figure out how to make a dollar like this game.
Said that, there's nothing that this shit could show me that I ain't seen a million times, man. And sometimes you just gotta run through it, man. Fuck what people say. Embrace failure. And 2, 3, 4 losses that I had, that shit gave me the fire to come back and learned a lot about me. You have to learn from your failures and stay consistent. That's it. When people know what know to look for you because you're constantly doing it, that's when you win. And that's what I'm all about, man.
I want to rent it. And I said, okay, fine. Right? He's been saying this for since October. And so he keeps trying to build it, but he won't sign the lease. He's like, I don't like these terms. I want 6 months of build out and ridiculous bullshit. We also have a partnership agreement where half of what he's building now, his media, belongs to us, but he won't tell us how much he's making and doing all these things. So half of the content he's creating, if you want to buy that too, I'll sell you half the company. He's not a business. He's insane. To me, it's worth very little to nothing. But if it works out for you, I just throw that in as a sweetener. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is he signed a lease with me. Right now he owes, I'm going to say in a short way, at least $80,000, if not $180,000. The monthly rent on the old lease. I'm
gonna say this, man. Beefing with 50 is good business. Numbers is up, podcast is up, engagement is up. Beefing with 50, I wish I would have known this a long time ago. We could go a couple more rounds.
No way.
100%. But he said he wanted to buy half the podcast. Now right. I'm saying if you want to buy half the podcast, I'm the person you need to see about that. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy you got to see about that.
I mean, do you think he was being facetious or was he?
He said he don't cap. He said he don't cap. So I should be receiving a phone call, right? Saying, yo, what's up with this podcast? Beefing with 50, beefing with Curtis, it's good business.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we not making our podcast not going. We don't talk about people. We take things and internalize it. But at the same time, I'm not trying to walk nothing down. Like if it's smoke, it's smoke.
All right, man.
If you shooting and you saying they and these guys and you got a picture and I'm in a picture, I'm shooting back and it's with whoever. Okay. It's with whoever, whenever, however. We know. Whatever.
We know.
Capo. Yeah. We out here squatting.
50 Cent publicly saying he would buy the Jim Jones and Maino podcast instantly shifted the energy. This wasn't said as a joke, it wasn't sarcasm, and it definitely wasn't one of his quick throwaway insults. Came off like a straight power move, a loud reminder of money, leverage, and control. That's exactly why it landed so hard. And when Cam reacted, it added another layer. Because Cam isn't just offering commentary. He's tied to Dipset history, personally connected to Jim Jones, and deeply familiar with how alliances in this culture are built and broken. What started as back and forth quickly turned into something heavier. It became a real conversation about respect, pride, ownership, and how far public beef should go once money enters the picture. 50 Cent has always known how to apply pressure with words. By saying he would buy the podcast, he wasn't just talking about owning a show. He was talking about owning the conversation, the platform, and the narrative itself. In hip-hop, where independence is worn like a badge of honor, statements like that hit different. It sends the message that something built with years of sweat and work can still be bought, taken, or controlled if the price is right. That's why the reaction was so loud, and why Cam's response mattered. Cam's reaction didn't come from shock, came from experience. He's been around long enough to tell the difference between something said for laughs and something meant to test boundaries. His tone sounded like someone who understands exactly how 50 moves and how those moves usually play out. He didn't rush into insults or reckless shots. Instead, he responded with disbelief, a bit of humor, and a quiet warning. That balance showed he knew this wasn't just entertainment or content for clicks. It was a signal, clear and intentional. When someone like 50 makes a statement like that, it forces everyone involved to think about what comes next. Jim Jones and Maino built their podcast as a space where they could speak freely, talk culture, and give opinions without filters. That platform represents their voices and their control. Even if 50 never planned to actually buy it, the comment alone challenged that independence. And that's why it was taken as disrespect. In hip-hop, respect isn't about words. It's about allowing people to stand on what they've built. Cam also has real history with 50 that goes back years. There have been moments of tension, distance, and silence on both sides. That history made his reaction hit harder because he wasn't responding as a fan or an outsider. He reacted as someone who knows the personalities involved and understands how fast situations like this can escalate. His response suggested he saw the comment as an unnecessary escalation, even if he understood why 50 made it. This moment also shows how much social media has reshaped conflict in hip-hop. Disagreements used to stay behind closed doors or come out through music. Now they unfold in real time through interviews, posts, and clips. 50 has mastered that space and knows how to keep himself at the center of the conversation. Once Jim Jones and Maino spoke on him, intentionally or not, they stepped into that arena. And once that happens, a response is inevitable, especially from someone like 50 who never responds lightly. Cam's reaction showed he understood that exact dynamic. He didn't treat it like harmless talk. He knew that once money and ownership are mentioned, the energy changes immediately. At that point, it stops being about opinions and becomes a status play. In hip-hop, saying, "I can buy what you built," is one of the highest forms of disrespect. Questions not just success but value. That's why the comment struck such a nerve. Some people argue 50's move was expected. They say Jim Jones and Maino spoke on him first, questioned his motives, and criticized his actions. From that angle, 50 responding with force fits his history. He's never been known to stay quiet when his name is mentioned. To them, it wasn't bullying. It was a reminder that words have consequences. Cam's reaction didn't fully take either side, and that's what made it interesting. He didn't praise 50, but he didn't shut him down either. He pointed out how wild the statement was and how instantly it changed the temperature. That response felt reflective rather than reactive. Cam seemed to be reading the room, the history, the personalities, and the possible fallout all at once. And in doing so, he reminded people that nothing in hip-hop exists in isolation. Every comment is tied to years of shared moments, arguments, and unresolved tension. The idea of buying someone's podcast hit especially hard because podcasts have become one of the last spaces where artists truly control their own voice. Labels and contracts have always limited expression, but podcasts feel personal and owned, and threatening that space feels like threatening identity itself. They feel personal, raw, and owned. So when that space gets threatened, it feels like an attack on identity itself. Cameron clearly picked up on that, which is why his reaction carried real weight. There's also the question of whether 50 ever truly planned to buy the podcast. Some see it as pure talk, a flex meant to dominate the moment and control the narrative. Others believe that even if he never intended to follow through, simply saying it was enough to cross a line. In hip-hop, intention matters far less than impact. And the impact here was immediate. It flipped the narrative and forced everyone involved to respond. Cameron's response acted like a pause button. It slowed things down just enough for people to think instead of jumping straight into insults and chaos. His reaction added context and perspective. It reminded viewers this wasn't just online drama or viral clips. These are real people with real history, real pride, and long memories that don't fade easily. The social media tension between 50 Cent, Jim Jones and Maino shows how quickly things can escalate when ego, money, and public platforms collide. What began as commentary turned into power statements. Cameron stepping in didn't end the conflict, but it reframed it. It made people look at the situation differently. For Jim Jones, the comment challenged his position as a boss and a builder. For Maino, it raised questions about his role and relevance. And for 50, it reinforced exactly who he's always been in moments like this. Someone who doesn't back down and isn't afraid to use money as leverage. Cameron highlighted all of that without needing to spell it out. He let the moment speak for itself, and that made it hit even harder. This moment also opened up bigger questions about unity in hip-hop. Instead of conversations leading to understanding, they often turn into division. Every comment becomes a dominance check. Cameron's reaction hinted at real fatigue with that cycle, even though he clearly understands how it works. At the end of the day, this situation goes far beyond a podcast. It's about pride, power, and the lines people cross when they feel challenged. For some, 50 crossed a line. For others, he simply drew a necessary boundary. Cameron's response showed that even those closest to the situation can see both sides. Now the conversation shifts to the audience. People watching have to decide where they stand. Was 50 wrong for saying he'd buy the podcast, or was that just his way of responding to criticism? Was Cameron right to step in, or should he have stayed out of it? These aren't easy questions. What's clear is that this moment won't be remembered for insults, but for what it represented: ownership versus voice, money versus pride, silence versus response. Cameron's reaction captured that tension and made it impossible to ignore. As the discussion keeps moving, it becomes important to look past sides and focus on meaning. This is how hip-hop conversations evolve now. Public, loud, and layered. The situation involving 50 Cent, Jim Jones, Maino, and Cameron is more than drama. It reflects where the culture stands and where it might be headed next. The reactions, debates, and commentary that followed will shape how this moment is remembered. Whether people laugh it off or take it seriously, the impact is already locked in. Cameron's response ensured it wouldn't be dismissed as just another internet moment. It turned into something worth thinking about long after the words were spoken. Looking deeper, this also shows how much reputation still matters, even in a time when attention feels like the main currency. 50 Cent has built a reputation where people expect him to strike hard and do it publicly. That history gives weight to his words before anyone even reacts. When he talks about buying a platform, it isn't heard as a random comment. It's filtered through years of past behavior, business moves, and public battles. Cameron understood that immediately, which is why his reaction came off calm instead of shocked. He knew the weight behind the words without needing them broken down. Reputation works the same way for Jim Jones and Maino. Both have spent years carving out space as respected voices, not just artists living off old moments. Their podcast represents growth, relevance, and control over their own story. A statement like 50's threatens that image, even if nothing ever follows. Cameron reacting showed how fragile reputation can become once it's challenged in public. One comment can shake years of work. This moment also proves that personal history never really stays buried. Dipset history, old disagreements, and long-running rivalries sit beneath the surface until something pulls them back up. Cameron's reaction carried all of that weight without needing to say it outright. Something only someone who lived through those moments could do. There's also a lesson here about silence versus response. In many situations, silence gets mistaken for weakness. But Cameron proved that a controlled response can land harder than a loud reaction. He spoke just enough to frame the moment without letting it spin out of control. That decision likely kept things from getting worse than they already were. Instead of adding fuel, he set boundaries with words. The audience plays a major role in moments like this as well. Fans amplify tension, choose sides, and push narratives forward. Some crave chaos, others want clarity. Cameron's reaction gave those looking for clarity something steady to hold on to. It slowed the rush toward extremes and reminded people that context still matters. Not every comment has to turn into a full-scale war when someone steps back and reframes it. Another important factor is how business language changes the emotional temperature of conflict. Insults can fade and jokes can be brushed aside, but once money enters the conversation, everything becomes serious. Buying something implies control. Control implies power, and power reshapes relationships. Cameron recognized that shift immediately, which is why he treated the comment differently than a standard diss. This also highlights how artists today have to protect more than just their image. They're guarding platforms, partnerships, and long-term plans. Jim Jones and Maino weren't just defending pride, they were defending something they built. Cameron's reaction showed respect for that reality and made it clear he understood what was truly at stake in that moment. At the same time, 50's approach reflects how he views power. From his perspective, dominance prevents challenges. Soft responses invite more noise, while hard responses shut things down. Whether people agree or not, that mindset has defined his career. Cameron didn't reject that logic, but he didn't fully endorse it either. He acknowledged it without co-signing it, and that balance is what made his response stand out. Situation also shows how quickly entertainment turns into real pressure. What begins as content can become personal stress. Public scrutiny, constant judgment, and non-stop reactions make every word heavier. Cameron responding with control showed he understands that weight. As the discussion continues, people will keep circling back to this moment because it raises bigger questions. Who owns the conversation? Who controls the space? And how should power actually be used? Those questions reach beyond the individuals involved and reflect the culture itself. Power is measured differently now than it was years ago. It once came from hit records, street reputation, or label control. Today, it also comes from platforms, audiences, and the ability to shape conversations online. When 50 mentioned buying the podcast, he tapped directly into that modern form of power. He reminded everyone that visibility and reach can be owned just like catalogs and businesses. Cameron understood that shift, which is why he didn't brush the comment off as empty talk. Cam has always valued ownership and control. Throughout his career, he's spoken openly about independence and protecting what you build. That background adds another layer to his reaction. He wasn't responding only as Jim Jones' friend or as 50's rival. He reacted as someone who knows what it means to build something from the ground up, and how threatening it feels when someone publicly suggests they can take it away. There's also a generational layer here. 50 comes from an era where public dominance was about survival. You couldn't appear weak, silent, or unsure. Every response had to be sharp and decisive. Jim Jones and Maino operate in a space where conversation, commentary, and platforms are part of the brand. Those two worlds collided here, and Cameron stood in the middle, reacting in a way that showed he understands both eras. Another key detail was how quickly fans chose sides. Some praised 50, calling it a boss move. Others saw it as unnecessary and disrespectful. Cameron's reaction created room for a middle ground. It allowed people to admit the comment carried weight without pretending it was harmless. That balance mattered more than loud praise or instant outrage. His restraint stood out. He didn't escalate with insults or threats. He let the weight of the words speak for themselves. That made the response more effective because it kept focus on the real issue instead of creating new noise. This moment is a reminder that not every response needs to be louder than the last. In a culture that rewards escalation, Cameron choosing control shifted how many people viewed the situation around Jim Jones. It also touches on legacy. Jim has spent years rebuilding his image from artist to executive to media voice. A comment like 50's challenges that progress publicly, even if nothing follows. Cameron responding signaled support without turning it into open warfare. Maino's role matters too. Known for speaking honestly, he's built a reputation for saying what others won't. That honesty earns respect, but it also invites strong reactions. And moments like this show how quickly truth, power, and ego collide when everything plays out in public.